Hey everyone, I miss seeing you all, but got a little demonstration here for you to help you out in this week's lesson. So what I'm starting with is I have a solution of copper sulfate. I love this solution. I think it's a beautiful color. Anyway, there's copper sulfate. This is iron sulfate. So if you remember that this is an ionic compound, you've got an iron ion and a sulfate ion. This is copper ion and a sulfate ion, and what I've done is I've mixed them with water, so those are in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have a piece of copper. This is elemental copper, and I'm going to stick this copper in the iron sulfate, and I have an iron nail. It was kind of rusty and dirty, but I tried to clean it off. I definitely have some iron exposed, some shiny iron on there. I'm going to stick this nail, which is iron, into the copper sulfate. And so now what we're going to see is iron and copper sulfate and copper and iron sulfate. While we let that sit for a little while, if you'll look over here, I've written out what these reactions would be. So our reactants and our products. So you've got the iron from the iron nail in the copper sulfate, the blue solution. And then you have the copper, the piece of copper in the iron sulfate, which is kind of that pale yellow solution. And if you remember from before we left, a single replacement reaction would be where this metal, iron, is singly replaced with this metal. And so what you would see is iron sulfate and copper. So that would be the products of the single replacement. And this one, the copper is replaced with the iron. So that is copper sulfate and iron. So that would be the products of the single replacement. Let's go back and see these reactions. So let's look at this is the copper sulfate and the iron. Can you see what happened? Any ideas what that is on there? It's kind of a copperish color. Let's look and see on the iron sulfate. Well, look on the copper, it doesn't look like it's really changed at all. There doesn't seem to be any change. Okay, let's talk about this. So if for this reaction, we should see metallic copper being produced and more of the pale yellow color. In this reaction, you should see metallic iron being produced, and then maybe that solution turning to a blue. So what we're seeing here, looking back again, is I've got this metallic copper that is being formed on this iron in this solution, but nothing on this solution. So it turns out that this reaction does not happen. This actually does not even happen. That copper can sit in the iron sulfate all day long and it will never form iron, but this one is certainly happening. And after a while, this blue color, if I leave it in for too long, this blue color will go away because it will all react and I've got some copper. So now what I want you to do is watch the slides that I made for you, because I explain why it is that you see this, you see the reaction going on here, but there's not a reaction here. And let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully you can do the assignment and get to the assignment and the questions, the quiz pretty well. Contact me by email, by Classroom. I'll do my best to try to